How you doing, guys? It's Friday the 27th of December, so happy Christmas or happy holidays, wherever you are, whatever you believe in the world. So I had a little bit of a problem here with the Seplos batteries. Everything's been running fine. Let me just give you a quick run through. So since I've installed the bus bar system, I've managed to keep the batteries close enough together, within a few percentage points of each other when it comes to state of charge. So that's kind of where we left off on the last video. And what I found was the best way to keep them close within their state of charge, because we're in December now. Definitely not getting enough sun to charge the batteries, and I'm not getting enough time within the 4-hour window for cheap night rate electricity to fully charge what I'm actually using. So once a week, usually Saturday or Sunday night, I'll start to charge maybe 2 hours early, even 3 hours early, depending on how low the charge is. So if it's below 50%, I definitely charge it for 3 hours. It generally doesn't go much below 50%. It's usually above 40, between 40 and 60%. So once I get that a full charge, it top balances the cells, and I don't get any drop-offs. See, I had been getting drop-offs where I had been as high as 60% state of charge, and then all of a sudden the batteries drop down to 15%, and obviously that's not ideal, because then you're using the grid for several hours of the day. You don't want that to be happening. So that's where we are, and that's been running fine for the last month plus. However, Christmas Eve, so the 23rd of this month, 23rd of December, what I did was I just kind of checked the batteries once a day. I log into my PC every day anyway, and one of my kind of bookmarks is the Seplos inverter browser app. So I clicked into that, and I noticed that there was an alarm, and I noticed that the battery was at 0, so I had a comms fail. I came out. This was a few hours later, so this happened around about 10 o'clock, I think, and it was around about 4 when I actually noticed it. So I came out and I noticed that battery 1 here was dead. So I checked the connections that I could see real quick, checked the inverter, made sure that was okay. Batteries 2 and 3 were still on. They were just kind of flashing, as in the run was just flashing. So I didn't even check the breakers, to be honest. I was just, Christmas Eve, it was a little bit hectic, so I just kind of came out. I'm like, okay, why is it off? Maybe you just need to reboot it, reset it. So I reached behind, the switch was on, so I switched it off and I switched it back on, and the battery turned back on. So I'm like, okay, maybe it was the BMS, I'm not really sure. So I left it alone. The state of charge was around 97% on here, and as you can see, it's still 97%. So fast forward to Christmas Day, or rather Christmas evening, so 25th of December, I am checking the browser app again, and I noticed that from around 11 a.m. I had a comms fail again. I'm like, bloody hell, what the hell is going on here? And that was around 11 o'clock at night, so it was down for the entire Christmas Day. So my Christmas turkey was cooked on grid power. Right, so I come back out here and I finally checked the breaker, and the breaker had been tripped. So I'm like, right, most likely we're dealing with a loose cable or something like that, I'm thinking, or it could be a fault with the BMS. For anybody who recalls, when I originally built this battery, in fact I'm not even sure if I included it in videos, but the seats on the BMS, there were like 3 or 4 of them that were kind of raised high, and I informed Fogstar of this particular situation just in case I was going to have problems with the BMS down the line. And I kind of went ahead with it. I figured raised seats, it shouldn't be an issue, but it could cause a problem with the integrity of the board. It might have basically just said that it was, wasn't put together properly in the first place at the factory. So anyway, moving on. I check the state of charge again. This is turned off once again. Check the state of charge after I turned it off, turned it back on, and the state of charge was the same. So I'm like, okay, that means the battery hasn't charged, it hasn't discharged. So again, it's possibly a BMS issue, but I'm thinking it must be a loose connection. Now, I'm getting battery feed. Once this is turned on, I'm getting battery feed. So the comms, this BMS is communicating. So BMS 1 is communicating with BMS 2 and BMS 3. And as you can see, I'm drawing 48 amps from here on battery 2, and I'm drawing 47 amps on battery 3, and that's 87 and 67. So we've got 20 percentage points in the difference there between batteries 2 and 3, and they're going to be balanced tomorrow anyway. So what I'm going to do here, I've literally just come out here now. I've had a look at the connections that I could look at. I have my earth bar up here, so there's a couple of little rubber rings behind that, and what I'm going to do is, I'm sure it's nothing to do with the earth, but anyway, just while I'm actually doing a little bit of work, I have kind of like a sponge that I want to fit behind that, you know, for kind of better insulation, because as it is, it's probably just the mill between the bar and the aluminium foil there, so I want to bring it out a little bit further. And where I'm going to kind of drill through, I'm going to remove the aluminium foil there, so there's no contact at all between the screw, the bar, and the aluminium foil. So I'm going to do that. I want to check this breaker here. My suspicion is that I have a loose connection behind here, and the reason why I suspect that is, if you can see here, I have a little bit of a lip here, so that suggests that I got a little bit of heat under here, and I'm kind of expecting that behind here it's going to be fried. And that makes sense, because if this is powered on, it suggests that the battery itself is fine, all the internals of the battery is fine, the comms are fine because it's communicating with battery 2 and 3, but it's not charging or discharging because more than likely I have a loose connection back here. Now, if that's the case, that's absolutely my fault, because when you torque your connections or tighten your connections, whatever way you do it, I generally do mine by hand. You should really kind of check it a week and then a month later, just to make sure everything is tight. You should also mark your connections, which I do on a professional level. So I do it as part of my work, but I didn't do it here as part of my install. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the connections going forward. So if the screws or the bolts move out of position at all, I'll be able to see them straight away, and then I'll be able to re-torque them. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this camera up somewhere, and I'll remove this and see where we are, and make everything as safe as I can, and just have a look behind it. So it's taken me about like 10 minutes to get this angle for you. If you could only see what way the camera was, it'd be funny. Right, so let me just get in here and loosen these guys. Excellent. All right, before I remove that, I'm actually just going to power these batteries down here, or rather isolate them, just be safe. Okay, now it's still connected to the inverter, but there's not going to be anything running to it. So we're all shut down here. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, right, so my suspicions were correct, and after spending all this time getting the camera set up, it's no use, you can't really see what's going on there. There we are. So right here on the negative, so on the lower one here, that is charred. Right, so what I need to do here is get this breaker out. I'm going to need to replace this section of cable here, so I can do that. And obviously this guy was loose, so that's where the problem was. So I'm going to take out that breaker, and I'm just gonna make these cables safe. So I'm gonna disconnect these guys from down below, just to be absolutely sure that there's no connection, and that way I can actually turn batteries 2 and 3 back on once I've loosened them from down below. So those of you that were following my videos, you'll know that the connections are down here. So really all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at these 2 cables here. I'm gonna take the covers off here and remove those cables and work a connection back up here, and I'm gonna order a new breaker. Just to be safe, I'm gonna order a new one in. It'll only take a couple of days anyway, and I'll survive off batteries 2 and 3. In the meantime, I'll still be able to use the comms from battery 1, so I'm not really gonna lose out on anything there. Right, I'm gonna get to that and I'll be back in a moment. I've disconnected battery 1 from the bus bar below, so I've been able to turn back on. I've just actually turned back on battery 2. I've left 3 off because battery 2 has 20% more state of charge than battery 3, so I'm just letting the house run off battery 2 for the time being. What I'm going to do here is now just go ahead and release this black cable here first of all. Oh yeah. Now, even though we're isolated here, I still kind of treat this as live. As a matter of fact, the battery is still plugged in here, or rather, it's not isolated at the back. I haven't disconnected the fuse in here, so I should definitely be treating it as it's live. So I'm going to be, you know, extra careful here. And as a matter of fact, what I'm going to do is just after loosening these, see there's no charge going through here anyway, because it's isolated down the bottom here and this is fried regardless. However, as I'm pulling that out, I don't want any possibility that the positive and the negative cables are going to touch or get close enough to touch that they, you know, possibly arc. So what I am going to do is I'm going to take the battery out a little bit, and I'm going to remove one of the connections. I think the positive connection is the closest one, so I'm going to remove that terminal, or rather remove the cable from the positive terminal, and that way I'll remove the possibility that I'm going to get any arcing or shocks. Okay. Okay. Here we are. So I've just taken the positive conductor off here, so this is now safe to work on. But again, as always, it's just better to assume that everything is live anyway and treat it as if it is live. Because you know that 0.01% of the time that you assume it's dead, it could be live, and it could cause a bit of an accident. So I need to get in here and remove this little locking tabs here. I'm about as far as I can get with this repair as I can today. Here we are. Just to show you, I did make that safe. So this is the negative connector that goes to battery 2. There's no need to remove the positive because you can't break a circuit without both being connected anyway. So that made that safe. And obviously up behind here I have the positive removed. So that's all completely isolated, all safe to work on. So I've taken the breaker out. I've put in a new cable, and I've just cut around here, as you can see, leaving this on for now until the new breaker arrives. And that should arrive on Sunday. So it's Friday, I've just ordered one and it'll arrive on Sunday. Brilliant. Then I decided, you know what, just to have one around, I'll order another one. So a few seconds later, I ordered another one, and then that'll arrive on Monday. Strange. This is the breaker. As you can see, it is pretty charred, so I definitely wouldn't be reusing that. This guy is going into the garbage. Battery 1 is disconnected from the system with the exception of the comms. So the comms is supplying battery 2 and battery 3. So a few seconds for you guys. The new breaker will have arrived. I'll install that and turn the system back on, and hopefully that's all it was, a loose connection. What I'll do as well is I'm going to mark all of the screw holes in here. So I'm going to make sure that these guys are all tight. I'll do that off camera now, and I'll come back when I am going to install this new breaker. Never a dull day. And we're back. It's Saturday 28th of December now, and my fuse has just arrived, or rather circuit breaker. However, as per usual, I have a bunch of bicycles here that I'm gonna have to move out before I get started. Next year, pergola, whatever. Right, so I've got 4 bikes out there, and I'm just gonna leave 4 bikes in here. But I have enough room to move around and to get the job done. Why do I have so many bikes? Well, there's more in the house, and without giving away too much of my personal life, myself and my wife have more than the average number of children. So we leave it at that. And now what I have to do is get rid of this and swap it out for what's in this box, which I certainly hope is the right fuse. Yeah, there we go. All right, brilliant. Last day we left this guy disconnected. So the positive cable was disconnected from the back. That still is the case. And the negative was, or rather still is, disconnected from below here. So it's safe for me to work on this. But again, always treat it as live. So I'm gonna get with replacing this. I'll speed it up for you so you don't have to go through the gruesome detail of watching me curse and swear as I try to get it into position. And we'll see where we are after that. I have my breaker. I have my PZ2 or Positronic 2 bit, which is designed for these little screws in here. So make sure when you're tightening these guys up that you're using the correct bit. The reason why I say is I had a quick look at the AC isolator switch while everything was kind of isolated and offline. I was actually kind of just looking for somewhere else to maybe run the earth because my consumer unit is being replaced. It's an underrated 63 amp consumer unit that was brand new installation back in April when I was getting the solar done, so April 2024. Got a new consumer unit, upgraded the electrics all the way from the meter to tails, everything back to a new consumer board. Unfortunately, the electrician put in an underrated board, so that is being replaced. Should have been replaced last month, this month, and now I'm expecting it to be done in January. So I'm just trying to find somewhere else to actually run that earth, and I was maybe looking at running it into the AC switch or the AC isolator so I'd have somewhere to run it. And when I open up the isolator, one of the neutrals wasn't even it wasn't even torqued into place. It was completely loose. It was almost hanging out of the holder. If I have a picture, I'll throw it up here. And I basically, it was only being held in place by the spring force of the wire itself, literally just kind of pushing itself up into position. So I sorted that myself. But anyway, electricians make mistakes too, so just be careful when you're working on these guys that you make sure that they're nice and tight. If you have a torque screwdriver, go ahead and use that. Find out what the correct torque rating is, and then a few days later and a month later, try it again. That's the mistake I made. That's the reason why we actually have this problem here. I made sure that it was very tight, and it was the first one I did, so I definitely made sure it was rock solid. But I didn't come back and check it a week later, and I definitely didn't come back and check it a month later, or at all for that matter. So it worked itself loose, and as a result, it blew out its predecessor. All right, let me get this guy installed. I know you can't exactly see here, but not all of us have a cameraman to help with these jobs. Okay, so that's in. Where did I put my damn screwdriver? There we go. Just get it loose in the first instance. Just gripping on. Make sure I'm still happy with that. Yeah, I can't see any conductor, so that's a good start. And now I'm going to tighten this baby up a little more. And this one here. Okay, back here. Okay. Right. That is bloody tight now. Can't turn that anymore. And if I was using the wrong size, if I was using just a standard Phillips, I'd be stripping the tops of these and you wouldn't be able to. You might get it tight, but you definitely wouldn't be able to come back and loosen it at any other stage. You'd be replacing the whole unit possibly. Right, now this is going to be a little bit tricky, but I'm sure I'll manage. Okay, so red on the left, black on the right. Right, let's get this one in here first. All of the strands. Good. You don't want to see any copper sticking out the end at all, but you also don't want to be clamping the insulation. That's no good. So with regards to seeing copper, you nearly want to be shining a light in there to see it. Okay, that's tight, but not as tight as I'm going to finish it off. All right. Now let's get you in here. This was the offending side. So this I'm going to get tight. And like, as you're torquing this up, you'll see these kind of start to split. Don't worry about it. The important thing is you're getting this as tight as you possibly can. And if you need to, if you need to, you get a ratchet up against it and use that if you need to get that little bit more leverage. And some of these drivers have a ratchet attachment where you can just pop a ratchet into that and tighten it up, and that's the route that you ought to go down. I've got a nice tight grip here and a decent driver, so I'm confident that, I mean, if I was to actually tighten that anymore, it'd probably start to strip the threads, so I'll leave it there. Right, now to pop these tabs down, and I'm gonna try to get this in to position. Just feed the cables back. Get it onto its little bar. There we go. There we go. That is in place. Okay, I have a little one here. Just gonna pop these tabs up and lock it in place if I can. There we go. She is locked. Not in the Irish sense of the word. All right, now I need to move the battery. So what you can't see here is I'm leaving 3 legs on the shelf and I have 1 leg hanging over. Not the safest thing in the world to be doing, but it's the only way I can work it. Craning it down. So, bolt for the terminal, positive. And I'm just connecting the battery positive back up first before I connect it to the buzz bar. It's a lot safer because I have easier access to the buzz bar, technically speaking. All right, just get that snug for now. Onto the ratchet. Again, making it nice and tight. Ah, there we are. Much better. Oh yeah, okay. Right. Put this back on. Underneath the cabinet now. Did I say 11? God, no. It's not a 13. I'd say it's a 15. Let's see. 15. And yes, it is. It's a 15. Right. Let's get this baby on. Choose the position. Oh, so the thing is the bolt neck is a little too long here, so what I have to do is just fit it over it, not lock this into position, and then it'll give me enough where I can actually turn it. So the ratchet isn't locking on, but that's fine. Okay. And that is definitely tight enough. Right, so I'm going to put the cover back on here. Locked. Fantastic. All right, this is getting kind of ridiculous. I need a better camera setup system. Maybe I'll invest in that. So Right, everything is ready to go. The batteries are offline, at least electrically speaking. So what I'm going to do here, first of all, I'm just going to turn the battery off here, as well as the other two. So that's battery 1 off completely, battery 2 off completely, and battery 3 off completely. Okay, so let me, I know this is not covered up yet, but this is just a test. So on, number 3 on. I'm going to turn them on. BMS 1, 2, and 3. In fact, it seems that 2 and 3 just kind of turn on by themselves anyway. I know you didn't see it here, but as soon as I actually turned BMS on for battery 1, 2 and 3 you know, lit up and came to life themselves. Right, so as you can see here, there is draw on this battery, so that's working fine. I still have an alarm on the inverter, but that will go away in a few moments. So I'm just gonna take this down here. There we go. Right, crash. Okay, so from the inverter, as you can see, I have an alarm here flashing at the moment. So battery 1 is connected and we're drawing just over 20 amps here. So the stated charge is 97.1 here. Battery 2 is also drawing. That's drawing, well, it was drawing there a second ago, but it's not anymore. There we are, drawing 9-10 amps. And battery 3 right now just drawing 13 amps. So they're kind of all over the place. 12 amps there, back to 12 amps, and 15.5 amps. There's usually a larger draw here. Good news is we're back up and running. I don't smell any smoke, thank God for that. And I'm going to now install a fire extinguisher, which I got a couple of months back. I just haven't installed it. And I'm also going to put a smoke alarm just above the inverter here, and a second smoke alarm in where my consumer unit is. So let's get that done. Now, at the same time, you probably didn't click on this video to look at me installing a fire extinguisher or a smoke alarm. So I'll do that separately. Where the hell did that come from? Right, guys, if this has been useful, educational, if it's been in any way entertaining, please like, subscribe. It'll help out my little tiny channel here, and it'll encourage me to make some more videos, which hopefully you'll enjoy watching and get something from. So until next time, thanks for watching, and Happy New Year.